Okay, welcome to our special post-Champions League final reaction with myself, Big Will, Coach Dan, and the prodigy himself, AJ. Gentlemen, history. Tonight, history's been made.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, they've done it. The historic treble, unreal. If you listen to Gary Neville, latter part of last year, when he was saying, City are struggling and this isn't the same City team, no one could have imagined that. The way he described them then till now, they would have completed the treble. I mean, obviously, it's crazy. Obviously, watching the post-match, I saw Haaland crying and I just deeped for Haaland, first season in England, and you've won a historic treble. Do you know what I mean? Jack Grealish, you made the some would call a risky move from your boyhood club where you had all the freedom in the world to move to City to win things, and you win a treble. Like, you look at all these players who've won it, and it's incredible. I mean, I always say this: you're lucky in your footballing career to win a cup final or win a playoff or get promoted. And these guys have done an incredible achievement. It's incredible. It's incredible. I'm even lost for words. It's incredible, man.
Coach, do you have a bit more words than AJ at the moment?
I suppose congratulations to Manchester City is due, right? Even from the red side of Manchester. And, just to add to what AJ was saying, I think it makes this win even that much sweeter to have won the treble, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do it the way they've done by beating their arch rivals and also arguably making it the best treble won in comparison to their arch rivals. So it just makes it that much sweeter.
Bro.
And I have to say, guys, I think this win is just as big for Manchester City as it is for Pep Guardiola himself.
100%.
When we think
Why do you say that? Why do you say that, Coach?
Well, think about it, Big Will. When he stepped onto the scene, they played kind of football where no one could get close to. And in 3 or 4 years, they won the Champions League twice. The last one was in 2011, boys. Who would have thought it would take Pep Guardiola that long to win his next one? And it has. It's just been that elusive attainment that he could just never reach. And then he went to Manchester City, and Manchester City are chasing that, and he's chasing it as well. I know he wouldn't want to come out and say it, but a lot of the time when we speak about greatest managers as well as Pep Guardiola has done, people will forever, I suppose, hold Zidane above him because of how much Zidane has won in Champions League. Because now, Zidane has won it 3 times, right? Pep has won it 3 times, but people will be like, but he won it back to back to back to back.
Yeah, there's always a new yardstick.
Exactly. People move the goalposts to make an argument. And I think it's a brilliant win for him. You could see in this game he was frustrated. On the sideline, all he kept saying to his team, his players were, calm down.
Relax.
This is not the plan. But sometimes the plan doesn't plan.
I'm telling you. Sometimes the plan doesn't plan. And it's facts. I mean, you even bringing up the fact that for Pep, do you know what? I'll be very honest, and he probably won't come out and say this, but not winning the Champions League for as long as he hadn't was eating at him. 100%. I think you'd be a madman to think it wasn't, because whether we like it or not, the Champions League is the creme de la creme. It is the bragging rights of being the best team in all of Europe. Do you know what I mean? So for him, I think I think this is probably, personally, if I was him, this would be my favorite win of the Champions League, because of how long he hadn't won it for, the new brand of football he brought to City, the development, changing things around, rebranding City the way he had to because of how well Liverpool came at them for the last few years. And listen, it is an incredible achievement for Pep personally, but for Man City as a whole.
You're a big romantic, My man said this is the best Champions League win for him.
Bro, think about it.
I think that 2011 one is...
I don't know. Do you know why I'm saying this? Because this is the first time in his career, in respect to, the team and Champions League, where he's been questioned. People have called him the overthinker, that he tweaks too much, and he hasn't got the minerals to win the Champions League without Messi and stuff like that. Well, today, guys, there was no Messi on the pitch. There was not even KDB on the pitch. And he got it done. So that's why I say what I say in that respect, is that in terms of pressure, not even internal pressure, but external pressure and questions being made about him on whether he can do it with City and if he doesn't. And, many were like, oh, if he signs a new deal. And it was so many questions, but tonight he's proved his doubters wrong. So you have to give credit to the genius that is Pep Guardiola.
Absolutely. Let's,
Yeah,
gentlemen, talk about the game itself then. So, I mean, it wasn't the best Champions League final we've ever seen. I mean, they never are, to be honest. I mean, Inter Milan were in it right to the like.
I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky one.
Will, what are the hallmarks of a great Champions League final?
Will wants to see 7 goals.
AC Milan 3.
Bro,
Will wants to see golazos all over.
That's like in personal terms, yeah. Asking that you get a Lionel Messi or Ronaldo every generation. You can't have that, right?
Bro.
That AC Milan Liverpool is just one of those games that will ever live in the memories of Champions League watchers. This doesn't have to hit those heights, but I thought, and I think mainly because I thought Inter Milan. Okay, I'll put it this way, right? In recent history, maybe apart from when City plays Arsenal, there's never been a game where almost 99.9% of football fans thought City were going to steamroll Inter. They thought City were going to steamroll Inter. Honestly, the conversations throughout this whole week, people are like, it will be 2-0 in the first 20 minutes, and then they will get a couple more in the second half and whatnot. And I'm thinking,
oh wow,
you know what? Yeah, in the Champions League final, it doesn't really need to be a steamroll. You just need to win the trophy.
Yeah,
that's what City needed to do.
Yeah.
Great credit. You mentioned about the game. I thought great credit to Inter Milan. They're the first team this whole season who has heavily disrupted the way City wants to play. I think.
And
in the first half, I was saying, my guy Gundogan couldn't even get his first touch right. He couldn't get his first touch right. It was just bouncing off him, and you were trying to, you watch the game, you're thinking, is this going to be one of those games? Is this going to be one of those
ones?
Games?
Yeah.
Surely not. But I think the City team, they just have so much steel. Like, you can't, no matter how much you're punching them, you just can't get anything. So, look, break the game this way, right? I thought with the ball, Inter done well, keeping it in comparison to what they usually do.
Facts.
However, they didn't take any chances.
Until the end, didn't it?
Yeah, the best chances came from...
This is the thing, you're right. You're right. Because as you was sat there thinking, I was thinking in my mind, Inter did well, actually. They kept the ball, and, then I thought, actually, until the end, really, with the Lukaku header and the Marco's header, and then the last one right at the final whistle, they didn't really actually do much. And this is the thing, like you were saying, against City and them being so resilient, is that teams, when they face Manchester City, don't play the way they should in terms of how they play week in, week out. It's almost as if City are so good. Every team that plays City, maybe apart from Brentford, are the only team I'd probably say. Every other team changes something about their ideology or their DNA to mitigate being blown away. Does that make sense? That's how good this City team is. So when I'm looking at Inter, like this season, especially in Serie A, Inter have played, of course they played more on a counter and stuff, but it's been more high octane. There's been more link-ups and stuff. But today, we didn't see much of that. We just saw a team very good in terms of being organized, in terms of getting the block of 4 in midfield to stop City from playing in, and a team very aggressive and on the front foot in terms of pressing. But in terms of on the ball and stuff, man, it was pretty tepid from Inter, I'll be honest.
I think, when you look at their midfield three, they're going to midfield three who you knew what you were going to get. They're going to work hard for you, really hard, right? They'll do well in retention of the ball. I didn't think they'll do as well as they've done today. However, the moment they break into the final third, they run out of ideas.
Thank you.
The players that they were looking up to create the chances were Dumfries and DeMarco on the left. And those guys, look, Dumfries is good at what he does, and so is DeMarco. But if
he's
you're
not
relying
Trent
on
Alexander and Arnold, is he?
They're not quite Trent. You see what I'm saying? And so you leave yourself in a bit of a bother because they weren't creating much as they had the ball. And you thought, oh wow, this wasn't the Inter I was expecting, and so people gave them a bit of credit, or at least I did. However, I still felt like it was a bit flattered the moment they break into those attacking thirds. The link-up play wasn't as good. Perhaps, looking at in hindsight now, I would argue that maybe Lukaku should have started. and then
100%.
Zeko maybe come on. You know,
100% would have
but it
started
didn't work
Lukaku.
out that way. But yeah, in retrospect, you can make whatever comment you want. You know, if they had gone in and won, you'd have been like perfect decision by the manager and
Yeah.
whatnot. I thought when you look at City, if I was to concentrate on them for a while, I thought literally, apart from Diaz and Stones in the first half, everyone's game just wasn't happening. No
Yeah.
one was playing well. I thought it was just mainly Diaz and Stones. Stones was a boss today. I'm watching and people are like, is this Stones or English Zidane? Like the way he was
Brother.
just busting that midfield. It was just, it was phenomenal, man. Gundo wasn't on. We all know, or we all don't know, in fact, what's going on with KDB, right? And
Bombastic side eye.
it was just fascinating. You couldn't help but think, oh, these guys are feeling the pressure. It's like I was saying, it's a game that they're going and everyone think they're going to win. Everyone thinking they're going to steamroll Inter. They're going to play the football that they've always played throughout the whole season, where they're just going to dominate Inter, and none of that happened. And so you can feel as the game was going on, tension was building. Pep, you can see, was a bit agitated on the sideline.
Yeah.
But this is not what we spoke about. This is not what we've been preparing all week. Even him as a genius, no, I don't believe that's what they prepared. I don't think so. You know? But in the end, when you need a calm head, Rodri provided that. Because it wasn't anything of a spectacular goal. You just needed a composure. And he was at the right place at the right time. And Inter will kick themselves if they watch that go back. Because I think two people, had they just flung their legs, they would have blocked that shot.
Honestly, if he had John Terry in there, come on, he would have thrown his
Not even John Terry.
I don't even think you need John Terry, you know. I think Pablo Mari would have done it. I think Pablo Mari would have done something.
Because it's instinct. Do you know what I mean? It's instinct. You just throw yourself at the ball to stop it.
But he just turn. No.
I don't know. No. Hey, listen. But just to touch upon what you were saying, Coach, in terms of the wing backs, I think in Inter's mind, the wing backs would have been their outlets to try and get balls into the box for Dzeko, to cut balls back to, you know, Lautaro, who was very poor, can I say? Very, very poor. I don't know. He was very poor for me today. But anyway, but I think the fullbacks quickly realized the problems that they were encountering with. Jack Grealish was high and wide, and then Bernardo Silva was making some great runs down DeMarco's side. So now, in your mind as a fullback, being Dumfries and DeMarco, you're thinking twice about trying to run up to a guy and support any attack, because you're thinking, what if I leave the space in behind me exposed? And of course, I think the first 15 minutes, we saw Bernardo Silva make some inroads down DeMarco's side, and you were just thinking, okay, this is going to be a very interesting chess match between those two. And, you know, we didn't see much of DeMarco going forwards. Normally, we see him swashbuckling up there, underlap, overlaps, getting balls in, support on the attack. Dumfries as well on the other side. Normally, if you watch Inter and he's playing wing back, he's always up there. He's always either delivering or he's in the box using his aerial prowess to make things happen. So those two elements were very, very interesting in the way the wing backs suddenly just, whoa, okay, I can't do what I do every week in, week out. So then that's where Inter had the issue of who's going to create anything. And that's why I believe Lukaku should have played. Him and Lautaro in the last 8 games, I think Lukaku's got about 11 goals and assists. Lautaro's probably got about 8. You know, so their link up, they call them Lalu or Lula, their partnership. Yeah. So the last few games, that partnership has been bubbling, and it's been, I would have gone for it. I mean, look, it's a Champions League final. Go with what you think will guarantee you goals. And I think Lukaku and Martinez, the way they move off each other, it would have given City a bit more issues, because let's be honest, the first half City weren't comfortable. Let's be very honest. At the back in midfield, the only two, Diaz and John Stones, who's my MOM, by the way, were the only two who were trying to make things happen, getting on the wall. John Stones was personally speaking, class above everyone else on that pitch tonight. His ability to get on the ball, he made amazing third man runs, you know, so yeah, first half, City, I was like, this isn't what Pep planned at all. I was like, yeah, they're in the mud. And of course, guys, as we all know, a manager can give you instructions, but when you cross that white line, with the pressure of being a Champions League final, you know, I think they struggled a bit in the first half. But second half, they got a bit more control of the game. And, well, Rodri, as much as we can say the defense on the line should have thrown themselves at it, he scores the important goal. And then you're looking at Inter, where's the reaction? We got a bit of a reaction, but was it a reaction? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the way things worked out, it proves to you finals, you don't need to play great, you just need to get over the finish line. You need to get the all-important result. And I think that's what City done. You go through their team, players went at their best, but they've walked off as the champions. Inter Milan will feel hard done by because I thought every player played to their maximum.
Yeah.
Every player played to the maximum. They needed to be like that. And yet, that is the level City has risen to this season. They've made every team in the EPL that much better. I know we look around and we're like, oh, they've won it 5 times in 7 years or 6 times in 7, whatever the ratio is. But they've made every other team so much better in the EPL. That's just how good they are. When you get to the Champions League final, you don't play as well as you need to, or you don't get as many of your good players playing as good as they can do, and you still go ahead and win it. And it's very important, guys. It's very important. And these are the things what, people talk about great teams are made out of. You've got to turn up on a match day and get the result. Sometimes it's 1-0, sometimes it's 4-1.
Yeah, for sure. Gents, let's talk about a few storylines that are obviously going to come out from this game. First of all, KDB. So 2 Champions League finals, twice subbed off, different injuries. What's the what's the consensus now on KDB? Is he a bottler in the big moments?
Look, I'm waiting for AJ to speak because I'm going to blast you for that question even.
Listen.
I'm just saying what the streets are saying. That's what the streets are saying.
Let's be very frank and honest, right? Many footballers who step across the white line are never 100% fit. They're always carrying a niggle, always carrying a knock. And depending on the type of player you are and how your mental state is, you can either get through a game or you can't. For some players, that knock or that niggle or whatever it is will hamper their game to the point where they don't play 100%. Now, some managers will say, play on because we need you and get through it mentally. Or others will say, come off for the better of the team. Okay? KDB, unfortunately, in the last 2 finals, has been injured. Now, some may say he's not got no cojones, he's got no minerals. Others might say, look back at the last few weeks of the Prem and realize a trend that Pep was resting him in between certain games. Why? Was he carrying a knock? Was he carrying a strain? Was he unfit? These are all questions only Pep, Manchester City, and the doctors can answer. What I will say is, it was a shame not to see him play the whole game. And I'll leave it at that.
It has to be tough, guys. 2 finals, come off injured. It is very tough on the player. And I suppose you start asking the question, why is that? Why is that happening? What I don't think is fair is people saying, oh, he's a bottler. I think that's a bizarre claim to make. If you don't play the game, how are you a bottler, right?
Almost as bizarre as people saying Arsenal bottled the league. It's just crazy.
Well, exactly. And I suppose your arguments around the statements you make are very important. Because think of it this way. If people can cast their mind back to the semi-final, second leg, Henry said, I spoke to him and he's not feeling well. He said there's something going on personally with him. He said there's something going on personally with him. And you ask yourself, what is that exactly? Sometimes when you're dealing with things like that, your body just doesn't feel right. And AJ, you rightly mentioned Pep has been trying to rest him.
Excuses.
Maybe.
Well,
maybe he's got a point. It might be an excuse, but excuses don't mean they're not plausible ones, right? It might have been because he's carrying an injury. They're trying to nurse it so he's ready for the final.
But
or it might
can I stop you there? Does this hurt his legacy? The fact that twice he's been subbed off of the Champions League final.
Let me say this now. Let me say this right now.
Here we go.
Tell him for free, coach.
Let me say this now and quote me. Anywhere you start to speak about football and KDB's name come up, quote me anywhere you start to speak. Yeah? I say this with no apologies.
Zero apologies.
Yeah? Zero. At least in the EPL, yeah, KDB is now in top 3, if not top 5 of the best midfielders who ever graze the Premier League. I'll say that right now. That's the EPL. And wow. If we want to be fair, there are many games that leads to the final. Maybe sometimes it's not your turn in the final. Maybe it's not. but getting there is just as important. Getting there is just as, you can say whatever he wants. Guess what? He's got a Champions League medal. Where are your ones?
He can say whatever he wants. He's only one of a few midfielders in the world to win a treble. Do you know what I mean? This can keep on going, but at the end of the day, look, the guy won a treble. Like that immediately puts you in the category of top 5 midfielders to ever play in the Prem because you've won the treble. So it puts you in that conversation.
Precisely. That's it, AJ. And let's bring this back home, yeah? Because this, let me see how you react to this. People, try and sort of put this Achilles heel onto Henry that he never turned up in cup finals. That Henry is not big because he's never done it in the cup final. Are you willing to take that as an argument? It's foolish. It's foolish. But think about it, right? Arsenal Champions League run in 2006. Are you trying to tell me we discredit everything he done leading them to the final?
Bro, he carried it. Someone still telling me he's got backache. Someone telling me he's still got backache from carrying all the way.
It's crazy. It was KDB who scored that all-important equalizer at the Bernabeu.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah.
Great finish as well.
People like to make arguments. They move the goalpost. Oh, yeah, but he didn't do anything in the final. Oh, it's 11 players. And guess what? His teammates stood up for him today. He was injured in the 30th minute. He's got his trophy. Once you get yours, we can have a conversation. Until then, KDB all the way.
Love it. Next storyline then, gents. next storyline that's going to come out, obviously, is how does this City team rank amongst recent treble winners? You got the United 99 team, the 2015 Barcelona team, the 2019-20 Bayern team that won the treble as well. How does this team stack against some of the teams you've seen, obviously, in the last 20
They're
years?
up there. So? They're up there. I mean, to see the way, look, sometimes you got, like, I'm looking at it from the perspective of the way they've played and been able to change their way they play whenever it suits them. That, like I said earlier, teams play Manchester City and don't play how they normally play. They play to mitigate being blown away by City. So the very fact that your manager during the week says, this week we're not going to do what we do normally because we're playing City is already, bro, it's already wild. If you think about it psychologically, it's already wild. So you're going into the game and you've got a game, like, I put them amongst the best who've won trebles. Just seeing the way Pep can just tweak things. John Stone's been a centre midfielder for the last however many months and it looking comfortable and easy.
But AJ, where do they rank? Let's get to the prime meat here. Where do they rank? Number one? Like
I'd say number 2.
Who's your number 1?
The Barca. Those guys were.
The 09 team, yeah.
They won the treble, right?
Yeah.
Second behind them. My personal opinion. Hey, the English. Wow, my personal opinion.
Excuse me, coach.
Because just the brand of football they've played and going on to win.
Will, I think you asked a very difficult question. If you're asking us to rank that, that's difficult, right? I don't think it's that easily said. Oh, they rank second, third, fourth, or whatnot.
Okay, let me then rephrase it then. Like, for you, who's been your favorite or best treble winning team?
Yeah, it has to be that Barcelona and wow.
See, here's the thing, right? I think when you through accumulation of everything, right, that we like to see in football, I think it's hard to argue against that Barca team. But I'm sat here thinking, look, is this the best City team I've ever seen? I don't think this team is as vibrant as the Centurions, right? But
I think this is the most dominant one, personally.
They are. I think they've built a solid team, right? Of the back. I think this back 4 or 5 that they've got is so good.
The best they've had.
Yes.
Incredible.
Throughout the season, people have not mentioned his name a lot, but I'll tell you right now, Akanji has been top draw. Different. He's played, I think, every game in the EPL.
And every position.
Yeah.
I think he's been top draw, and I haven't heard his name been mentioned a lot. I'll say this. Look, ultimately, right, they've achieved what no other City team has done, no other team in the EPL has done, right? And so they've got to be up there. I do think, though, I take this thing into perspective, guys. Am I really surprised that this City team has achieved what they have done? Not really, because they are by miles better than anyone else we've seen this season, boys.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah, but coach saying that though, it's okay knowing it and thinking it, but them actually crossing the white line and producing it. It's two different things. Because even last year, they were crazy, but they got to the final and it didn't work. So do you get what I'm trying to say? So
it's a fair point. It's a fair point because as he asked that question, right? I'm trying to remember the teams that have won trebles across Europe, and I thought Inter Milan's team with under Jose Mourinho, I thought they overachieved. I personally do think that. Yes, they had some great footballers in there, but the average age would have added up to 1,600, right? So they overachieved. I thought that team was just the way they went about what they set out to do, and crossing the line for the treble. I thought was phenomenal. I'll rank them very highly. You go look at the goals scored, the kind of football played, the points accumulated. Even the Manchester United one, as good as they have been in the EPL, right? As people talk about, really, they got 79 points. They would have finished outside the top 4 this season.
Yeah, but for me, out of all the trebles, for me, I think that's the most memorable one for me personally. If you think about the moments in the season, like for example, the FA Cup semi-final against Arsenal, where down to 10 men, Bergkamp misses that penalty, Giggs scores that goal against Juventus in the semi-finals where they're 2-0 down. Then Roy Keane drags them down. And then the final against Bayern Munich, 1-0 down, like stoppage time, 2 minutes, 2 goals. I think then obviously if you stack them up against the past treble winners, they're not up there. But for me, just the way they won it will always be number one for me personally.
Yeah, well, see, you're saying the way they won it because you are glorifying the fact that they were able to pull themselves out of the trenches. Well, someone could say, see, are so good, they didn't need to find themselves there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's very subjective and
it's subjective. Yeah, it's subjective.
So I think we can draw the consensus that if you do that, no one has the right to categorize you. You're just one of the great teams. End off. You're just a great team to do that. To go ahead and win all the treble across the season. It's a very difficult feat. We congratulate teams for winning Champions League or their league, but to do all 3, it's phenomenal, guys. And I think the FA Cup, if we're being honest, it's a tougher competition and it has more of a historic. What's the word? Well, I suppose people will disagree with this, and they're more than likely to. I mean, welcome to.
Someone will say this is sensible.
Yeah.
I suppose they can. Well, it just have a better draw than like the Coppa del Re or Coppa Italia. That's just a fact.
I get what you mean.
That is
but some will say that'll be subjective because of the way you live.
It's true. It's true.
But none of those competitions have the history of the FA Cup. Not even.
That's the point. That's the point.
And finally, then, gents, I guess then is it even worth asking this question? Is Pep Guardiola the greatest manager of all time?
Wow. Well, I think after tonight, his name is definitely a question. You put him up there with the likes of Sir Alex. You put him up there with the likes of Carlo Ancelotti. You put him up there. You have to. Look, his track record speaks for itself. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with his principles, whether you agree with the way he manages, whether you're like Yaya Toure, he keeps on saying that Pep doesn't like African players. Whether you like it or not, he's in the conversation. You have to put him up there with the greats. He is a managerial great. And the track record speaks for itself. He cannot be denied no longer. Greatest manager of all time? I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's see. He hasn't retired yet, so.
Quote me anywhere you stand to speak.
Jurgen Klopp. Yes, Jurgen Klopp.
Quote me.
If you dare say I'm leaving the YouTube. If you say I'm leaving I'll leave.
Quote me wherever you stand to speak. Yeah? Know that it was said here first.
I'll leave.
Had Pep not won this Champions League final, his place in history was never under threat.
Facts.
I think
propels it.
when you draw across all the metrics of judgment, he is the best we've seen in the game. No question asked. No question asked. You can make the arguments that he spends a lot of money. Well, tough luck. He wants to play a brand of football that he needs good players to do that. It's not his fault that the market is where it is.
It's not his fault that the owners see his vision and back him. It's not his fault.
No, but it goes
Exactly.
even further than that, coach. It's like, yes, you can have the money, but the brand of football speaks for itself.
And you've got to make it work.
Man City.
Yeah, like you've got to make it work. Like, and do you know what? And the reason why I agree with you, Dan, is because look at the players he's inherited and how he's changed them. Like, we're not talking about he gets players and then he betters the attributes that they already have. Yes, he does that, but he also switches their way of thinking, their way of playing, the way they understand their role. Like, it's a holistic
Look how he changed
thing.
Lahm's game, Cancelo, Zinchenko.
It's a
now.
holistic thing he does.
Yeah.
You know, you look at Riyad Mahrez when he came in. Like, when Riyad Mahrez came in from Leicester, everyone was like, this guy's liquid gold. Like, but the way he's made Riyad Mahrez refine his game, even Jack Grealish, like, there's so many players we can say, like John Stones. Let me just leave it at John Stones. John Stones said the other day in the interview, he didn't think he'd be a professional footballer. He didn't think he'd make it.
It's tough. It's tough to make it. You know what, guys? Yeah, look.
But yeah, Pep has to be in top two, 100%.
Ultimately, yeah, you know, in the English Premier League, one of the managers that is, you know, highly revered is Arsene Wenger. In the way when he came in, he changed everything, right?
Yeah.
People start to follow that. He's the first one that brought like possession football to the EPL, to the standard that Arsenal played it at, right? And people love him for that. Whenever you start to speak about the Premier League era, his name is mentioned. And then you have Pep, who not only did that, but he's brought a kind of football where it's worshipped across the whole world, guys. Look, before Pep's Barcelona team, yeah, you know, passing the ball in the box, like how it's been changed by FIFA now, wasn't a thing.
Nope. Tiki-taka came and smashed it up.
In fact, I can't even remember a period where we didn't play out from the back. That's all I ever hear. In fact, the next time I hear play out from the back again, I think I'm gonna throw up. You see, he's become like he's become a tree where every branch of football now, took something from his game.
Exactly. He's a revolutionary.
Yeah,
that's the word.
That's it. Yeah, people might say, and you know what people might say, because I need to make this point. People might say, "Oh, but yeah, he says he got his idea from what is it called? Johan Cruyff." Let it be said here, guys. Let it be said here. Johan Cruyff clearly was a top footballer, right? No argument. No one will argue with that. But let's not act like he was a managerial phenomenon. Let's not act like that at all. And guys, honestly, it's not about who did it first, it's who did it best. And Pep done it best.
and it's true. And you know what? In life, even in business, someone can have an idea and someone can take the idea. It depends on what you do with the idea. The idea is there, but if you haven't breathed life into it and manipulated it and worked out how it's going to work, how it's going to thrive, or how it's not, then it's just an idea. It's there laying dormant. So listen, Pep, the guy, he's the idea man, and he executed the idea, and he continues to execute. And I don't use that term loosely, but he's a revolutionary. Listen, if you actually sit down to break it down, how they pass it out from the back under severe pressure, and he's found a way. It's incredible. You look at all the teams in the Prem. Every team in the Prem has taken something from Pep Guardiola in terms of ideas. Every team.
100%. Well, congratulations again to Manchester City, completing a historic treble against Inter Milan. 1-0 winners, goal by Rodri in the second half. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, as always.
I want to salute all my Man City fans.
Yeah.
No, when are
we going for the open tour?
What, the ones that started supporting them since 2010?
The ones who don't remember Jolie and Lescott, Darius Brazil. The ones who don't remember, what's my name? Oh my days, what's his name? The striker, bro.
You guys don't know.
Richard Dunn.
Richard Dunn. Shake. Oh my days. All right.
They don't know.
They don't know. Just remember like Joe Hart and company and David Silva.
Elano, them guys there. Elano.
Bro, Elano. Ah! What a wonderful midfielder. Oh my days.
They've come a long way, boys. They've come a
They've
long
come
way.
a lot. Those who don't know Michael Richards, Michael Richards. You know what I mean? Not the one with the high top and laughing all over CBS and that. The Michael Richards, Michael Richards. The one whose upper body was bigger than.
But guys, look, credit to Inter Milan, man. Credit to Inter Milan. I think they came into a game where no one gave them any chance at all, and they gave themselves a chance by the way they played. Unfortunately, they came up against a beast that has cut down everyone that stood before them this season.
Right.
Arsenal being one of
no
them.
shame. No shame to Inter. They came and they did everything they could. You know, you could see some of their expressions. They were like, I'm at full throttle. Nothing's given. Do you know what I mean? So we've got to give credit. And credit to Inzaghi as well. He's done a sterling job with Inter. And I think this is like his 8th European. I think this is his 8th final he's played. And it's the first one he's lost. So, yeah, man.
You know, before we log off, there was an interesting fact. So I had a private session today. And the young man I was coaching said this to me. I didn't know this, boys. I don't know if you guys knew this. He said to me, the past 11 Champions League winners have all had Croatian players in there. And so he thought Inter was going to win because they had Brozovic.
Oh, my days. He's right. He's right.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow. Well, end of tonight.
I'm going to drop him a message now. I'm going to drop him a message.
What a run, though.
The next 11 will always have an Englishman in it.
I hope so. Arsenal next, boys.
In it, Wembley. Book your tickets. Wembley next year. All right, that does it from the Front Three podcast. Make sure you follow us throughout the summer. We're going to look at each club bit by bit, look at what they're going to do in the transfer window. And of course, we're also going to follow the FIFA Women's World Cup as well. So stay tuned. See you soon.